Right, so that's my partner in crime at running Ahura AI. But before then, I worked at NVIDIA on the data center team. And over there, what we did was really work on something called GPUs, graphic processing units. These are like the computer chips that go in very fast computing systems. Most notably, the fastest supercomputers around the world. Pretty much every year we would get them to run 3 times faster. So innovators like you guys go out building really incredible innovation, doing incredible things from better predicting how much the climate's changing, or being able to predict when there's going to be an earthquake so we can actually save more people. But today I'll move away from all the science stuff and talk more about more common data that most of us typically don't think about. That's so that we can take some action as individuals that will revert not exactly existential crisis, but societal suicide. So today I'll talk about jobs, innovation, humans trying to maintain their relevance in this future that we're getting into, and purpose. So with this next slide. Right, so my birthday is May 9, and on May 9, 2017, Peter Fisk is a global thought leader, made this quote where he says, there will be more technological change in the next 10 years than the last 250 years. He also went about to say any business that's still trying to hang on to the old models which made them successful is a fool. Well, those who know me know I don't talk like that. But Peter did have a point here. I had fun going back, going in the past to look at this pretty cool chart. I enjoyed looking at it. I'll actually read every dot on there because it was fun for me. These are like key innovations that we've been able to put together as humans. Starting from, I don't know if it's too small, but starting from the printing press in the 1400s. It took 200 years to get to the telescope, and then about 150 years to get to the steam engine. If we jump past that, it was only up to about after 1950, 2000, it started to really accelerate, right? Where there was a microprocessor, the cell phones, the internet, the Google driverless cars, just rapid speed of innovation change. And that's exciting because we're creating all this innovation and opportunity. But at the same time, it's concerning because it's not exactly easy for regular people to pick up and learn these technologies fast enough to actually apply them and use them the way that they can be used. So we'll put a pin on this in terms of how fast innovation is happening, and then talk a bit about jobs. And I'll do a little experiment here. I'll call in someone in the room, maybe Reese Jones. Let's have you. So in terms of jobs, how many, if you can remember, how many jobs have you had in your career?
Yep.
Yeah, like jobs.
Oh, jobs. Well, I don't think of them as jobs, but I do.
Oh, you said you don't think of them as jobs, but okay. But I would imagine, I don't know, what number do we throw? Less than 5 maybe, would you say?
More than that.
A bit more than that? Okay, I think you're a pretty interesting one. But in terms of like your parents, your mom or your dad, do you remember how many jobs they had? One. That's very interesting. Exactly. And it's very interesting when we think about the younger folks today and how many jobs they have. In fact, when I was pulling up data for this slide, I found that folks who were 70 plus years old, typically had like about 2 jobs in their life. I've talked to folks from Asia, from Japan, or other countries talking about like working at Samsung their entire life, right? And folks who are 40 years plus typically have about four jobs in their career. But then very interestingly, when you look at folks who've graduated from business school or college in the last 5 to 10 years, they're switching jobs every 2 years, sometimes less, right? That's so interesting to me, but it has pretty incredible implications on society. So basically, they'll have about 20 jobs in their lifetime. In fact, if it continues to accelerate, which it will, I imagine people won't even necessarily have jobs. You just have skills, right? That's where I see we're going. But with the way it is right now, with 20 jobs, it means you have to do interviews every 2 years, right? You actually have to have soft skills to sell yourself. And for the company, this is important. From the side of the company, you have to run more onboarding that you've been doing before, right? In the past, it used to be the case that when you hire people, you would give them about 3 to 6 months to settle into the job before they start to deliver. But if they're leaving every year or every 2 years, I mean, that just doesn't work anymore. You need to throw out your old LMS platforms and systems of training your people, and you need to do it a lot faster. It needs to happen by the week, because these people are going to be gone very soon. So there's a lot of changes that need to happen. And when we pick those two charts together, if truly every 2 years there's going to be 4 new technological breaks like in your space, it means that for you to be marketable as you go back into the job place, you need to be learning about those 4 new technologies yourself, right? But the reality is that it's very, very difficult. I think the average person doesn't do that. I don't think most of us are spending that time. In the past, just in near past, you would have, if you think about deskless workers, for example, it's easier to get a driver to go get a job at Walmart being a cashier person. But that's a lot easier from where we're going to, where you now need that driver who's 40 years old to build farms in the metaverse. Right, that's tough. In fact, in the room, are there people who know how to build farms in the metaverse already? Any metaverse people? Okay, awesome. Wow, that's less than 10%. All right, rest of you, what are you doing? Yeah, we need to learn to do that kind of stuff, because that's what's happening. But really seriously, as folks who are employees yourself and who drive companies, you have to figure out ways to help and get your employees to learn faster with newer forms of education and upskilling, because with these drivers, when they when they lose their sense of livelihood, they wouldn't just stop at parking their tractors on the road. There will be more societal challenges that will come about, and this has already started to happen. And so my talk is a short one. I'll get to some takeaways for us, but before I do that, I want to see which folks in the room are already taking the medication that we all need to take, right? Which folks in the room identify as lifelong learners, as folks with a growth mindset. Like, wow, that's amazing. I love that. Okay, so I'm going to call on one of you. Let's see, Payam, because it's the best dressed in the room. All right. So over the last week, 2 weeks, I was asking about 3 or 4 questions, see if there's ways we can help you improve even being a lifelong learner. Over the past week or 2, how many topics would you say you've learned about?
Couple.
Okay, would that be like 5 to 10, something like that?
In the last couple of weeks?
Yeah.
There's many topics within topics, so you can define it in a lot of ways.
Okay, and are there a few you can at least mention to us, like new strengths you've built?
I mean, just today, the data set we talked about on temperature, that's fascinating.
Wait, did you actually go make Korean and talk about your hometown?
Well, just do it.
Do it.
I felt like it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I will come talk to you about my hometown, Korea. Yes, that'll be great. Awesome. Well, thank you very much. Last slide here on just actions is track your learnings. Very simple message. We're moving into that world now where I said, companies are going to be hiring people, it's going to be gigs. And people really need to very quickly know what your strengths and weaknesses are. And so for the best of us in the room who are lifelong learners, you need ways to, just like a Fitbit, many of you wear, this Fitbit or the mood, the rings on your hand now that track your health and how you, take your fitness seriously. It's great to have a tool that automatically also tracks how much you're learning. so that very quickly employers and managers can just tap into that space, figure out the crew of the SWAT team they need to tackle a project, and then move to the next one, right? So that's huge for those of us who are lifelong learners. And for the rest of us, really, I really want to say, just invest 2 hours, right? If you're not spending 2 hours a week learning about something new, I hope you don't find yourself like our truck driver friends who, are stuck trying to build farms in the metaverse. So that's it. That's my talk.